What's up, guys? Saf here on SuperSaf Speaks, and welcome to episode number 44 of the podcast with myself, your host, SuperSaf, and my co-host.
Thunder E from Board at Work. Sorry, my mic might be a little bit low, but I want to speak nice and softly.
Yeah, he's got mic issues. There's always something.
That is not true, man. That is absolutely not true.
Technical
False.
difficulties.
False.
Well, today it was me. I actually got a little bit late, but anyway.
At least I got my name right this time, right?
Yeah, that's the main thing. Here after a good start. Jam-packed episode today. We've both been using the Galaxy S25 Ultra for a couple of weeks. We'll be telling you about our experience. Samsung teased the S25 Edge, which we thought was going to be called the S25 Slim, but it's going to be called the Edge. And Enabong actually got to see it firsthand, so he'll be sharing his experience. OnePlus 13, that's a big competitor to the S25 Ultra. Again, we've been using that for around about a month now, so we can share our experience. And then the Honor Magic 7 Pro as well, another competitor in this market. So it's really heating up. And then we have to talk about Deepseek, because that has really sent shockwaves across the AI world. And yeah, it's interesting, especially with the valuations of some companies that have just been destroyed. But anyway, we'll get to that. Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra.
Yeah.
So we both had it for a few weeks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very good device overall, right? Controversial, some things. The first thing I want to talk about is the design. Now, personally, I quite like the design. I think it looks quite nice. Yes, it's still got the, it's still got that triple ring, thicker rings to protect the lenses, flatter sides, which actually makes it feel a little bit thicker, right? Compared to the S24 Ultra as well as the S23 Ultra. Because those edges kind of curve in. So when you're holding it in your hand, this actually doesn't feel thinner. It actually feels thicker. So that's one point, right? But it is lighter and it's got those curved edges. I personally don't mind the design. I think it's a pretty good design, I would say. What about you?
Oh, I love this design. I agree with you that the edge does feel thicker, just because it's the flat edge. But the device is lighter. It's naturally lighter in weight, and it feels lighter while using the device. There's something fresh about it. I don't know how to describe it. I think just the subtle refinements of the curved edges and also the flat display makes it feel fresh in my mind. Again, that's just me personally. But I like the device. So currently, I've been using both the S24 and S25 side by side, and I'm getting tired of carrying around the S24. Not because the device is bad or there's anything wrong with it. It's just that I enjoy holding the 25 more than 24. Just simply.
Okay. Don't let the 24 hear that.
Where is it? Okay, it's upstairs.
All right. So the next thing we need to talk about. Okay, so that's the design. Let us know in the comments what you guys think. The S Pen, right? Now, this has been, oh my God, it's so crazy because it's like on one side or the other, right? Some people are saying, oh, it's all right, I never used to use Bluetooth on the S Pen. Other people are saying, how could they get rid of Bluetooth on the S Pen, right?
Yeah.
Now, I literally just got some news right now from Jerry Rig Everything. Have you seen that video yet?
No, I haven't watched the video yet.
Okay, all right, so we'll get to that. So firstly, okay, me personally, let me just say, not having Bluetooth on the S Pen, not the end of the world. It's like, I like to have it, but it's not there. Okay, fair enough. What about you?
I went through a few emotions, but I got over it pretty quickly. And there's one thing I want to add at the end of that. One, I'm a big S Pen user. I've been using the S Pen since the Galaxy Note 3. So for me, and I have notes that are old. Not that old. Yeah. My buddy does, but not that old. So I felt like it was a betrayal of the growth of the S Pen because, every year they always add something new or different to it. But I asked myself the question because I asked Samsung, I said, why did you take it out? And the response was 1%, actually less than 1%, but they said just call it 1% of S Pen users on the Galaxy S Ultra use Bluetooth functionality.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's one of the things. And I asked myself, okay, when last did I actually use that functionality, that specific functionality? I would say maybe when I did my launch video with the S24 Ultra. That's about it.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, I'd agree.
definitely it.
Using the S24 Ultra over the past year, I've probably used it, I'd say 3 times, right? So that would potentially account for 1% of the time. Now, Zach from Jerry Rig Everything, friend and great content creator, did a teardown of the S25 Ultra, and he's literally doing it right now. Now, what's interesting is, and this is going to cause controversy for sure, is it seems that inside there is the charging coil around the S Pen. So in theory, if you had an S Pen that would fit, it would be able to charge within the S25 Ultra. Now, he said that this could be, just the detection of when the S Pen's inside or not, right? But it looks very suspiciously similar to what we've got on the S24 Ultra.
So did you see the post on Twitter?
No, I haven't.
But continue. I'll jump in a second.
Okay, so the question is, I mean, there's a few scenarios, right? Samsung were going to include the S Pen in the S25 Ultra, and for whatever reason didn't include it. That's scenario number one. Scenario number two is that they are planning on selling a Bluetooth-enabled S Pen at a later point, right? Okay. Or scenario three is they were like, you know what, we're probably going to get a lot of backlash for this, so let's try it, but let's just have the option open. So then if we decide later on to, let people buy an S Pen, then at least there's going to be a little less backlash. So that's what I'm kind of thinking. It's one of those three.
It's scenario number two. The reason I say that is because somebody shared a tweet that had a link to Samsung, either UK, but it's a European site that had a Bluetooth S Pen for sale. It was for pre-order. This is during the launch event, and then it was taken down.
Because on one side, right, okay, it's like there's going to be people who are going to be very angry, very, very angry, saying, how could they do this? And they're trying to sell it to us separately, okay? On the other side, from Samsung's point of view, it's going to be like only 1% of people use it. So for that 1%, you can go ahead and buy it. That's fine, right? We'll give you a discounted price on this S Pen and you can buy it. And then, that saves us this many, thousands or millions in the amount of units they ship, because they no longer have to have a battery within the S Pen. So I think either way, it's going to be very controversial.
No, I agree. I definitely agree. I think Samsung missed the boat here on something. I was talking to my buddy Warren Bowman, and he said same thing with us. He's like, I don't miss the Bluetooth on the S Pen because I don't use it either that much. But he was like, Samsung should have included a microphone into the S Pen and basically push the whole look. We now have log, right? It's a creator phone. You have a mic, that's the S Pen, that's built in, and you can basically make your content. Like, that would be golden.
But I mean, that fitting in a mic, a decent quality mic in that S Pen.
Yeah, you can. Because
even if you look at something like the DJI Micro, right, which is probably the smallest.
No, this is not the
mic.
smallest anymore. The smallest good mic is from Hollyland. They have one that's literally like a slip, and then it's got a slightly bigger end, but if you stretch it out across the whole body, you should be theoretically be able to get it. I think it's possible. I think there's a possibility there.
Dr. Enabonk, HA physician and engineer, is saying that it's possible. So it's gotta be possible.
I think there's a possibility here. The reason I'm just saying that,
I don't know, man. I think physically,
idea.
Yeah, but I mean, you've got the battery there as well, which you need, right? So I think physically it would be a big challenge. So I don't think that would ever happen. I don't know. I'd if it wasn't haram to bet, I would bet that's never going to come on the S Pen. If it wasn't haram, sorry.
That means I won.
Essentially. All right. Okay, moving on from that. Display is beautiful. Gorilla Armor 2. I'd say the S25 Ultra has my favorite display out right now. It's flat. It's, anti-reflective. It's still bright enough, 3600 nits. And especially at that point, when you kind of increase the brightness, it doesn't really make that much of an impact. It's kind of like I think it's like the way it works is like a curve, right?
Yeah.
Resolution, refresh rate, everything's spot on. The bezels are uniform. They're super small. all good on that side. I don't think we've got any complaints. I don't think anybody's going to have any complaints on that. Cameras. Okay. So we've got a new ultra-wide camera, which, let me just say, I think still needs some tuning. This is the first time Samsung are using this new ultra-wide camera, and I think they still need to tune things up a little bit. You do get better resolution, obviously. You get more resolution, but you lose dynamic range when you are shooting at that resolution. I would say overall it has been better in low light, but again, I think it still needs some tweaking, and it can now shoot 8K as well, right?
Yeah.
So I'd say that's the biggest change when it comes to the cameras. That's the noticeable one. Obviously, you mentioned video. You've got really good quality HDR video now as well. You've got the ability to shoot in log. So as an overall camera package, very good. Is it enough different from the S24 Ultra? Probably not, but it doesn't mean that it's a bad camera, because the S24 Ultra has a really good camera package. So the S25 Ultra just kind of extends on that.
I think the camera is great.
Is it because of your black test?
Yes. It made me look better. I mean, I think that's where, the balance of how do things actually look. And it's always interesting with the camera comparisons because, people like Saf or Danny, they always do environments. I prefer skin color because that's the most important thing we take. Pictures of ourselves or the people we love, or the environment can be whatever it is. I really don't care. Personally, that's just me. But I think
He
when it
just likes taking
comes
pictures of himself.
exactly when it comes to my skin complexion, I think the Galaxy does, because it does a lot higher contrast, right? So it really does. They brought back the same engineer from the Galaxy S20, told him to just calm it down a little bit, and he's doing his job here. But
We
I
have
will
a
agree.
theory.
I will agree with you. We have a theory on that one, though. My
Yeah, I'm not
theory,
sure if can we share this theory?
yeah, I'll share. My
To the
theory is
public.
that the engineer
There's an
has
engineer in Samsung. Our
Samsung,
theory
right?
is that there is this engineer in Samsung who has a particular liking to a particular race.
Just saying,
Huh?
So he tunes it that way. But I do
Yeah.
agree that the camera needs some tuning, especially even when shooting video, it kind of looks darker on screen. Like there's certain things that they need to do that should help. Now the question is, we'll talk about other phones, but Vivo has taken at least the crown for a lot of people this year, right? How does it stack for you against the Vivo? Like, where is that? Because, there are different spots where you could land.
I think it's obviously I've not done a detailed camera comparison between the Vivo X200 Pro and the S25 Ultra, so I wouldn't be able to specifically say. But in terms of using the Vivo X200 Pro, I just think that the images, because of that sensor, they're just super sharp and crisp, right? And especially you notice this more when you're taking pictures of objects on the Vivo X200 Pro. So that's one area. But I always say this, that when it comes to a camera, you have to look at the overall camera package. And this is why like people get really annoyed when you say this, but generally speaking, the reason why iPhones are top of when it comes to cameras, right? When it comes to usage, it's the overall package, because you're not just looking at one camera, you're looking at the ultra wide, primary, telephoto, you're looking at video, you're looking at how it handles all of these things, right? So you're looking at that overall camera package, and I think that's what's key. What I can't say right now is, does the Vivo X200 Pro have an overall better camera package compared to the S25 Ultra? I can't answer that question right now.
Okay.
What do you think?
I think you're right in with my short comparison with it I did a short actually. It's sharper. The Vivo is definitely just a sharper image, but my image also felt a little bit highly saturated in certain environments, while the Galaxy just kept that nice balance, just neutral tone to it. So from a starting point, especially if you want to edit that photo, it's easier to edit the Galaxy than the Vivo, just because you're in a higher range. I think, to your points, it's the overall package, and that's where I would say Samsung has the edge. Is that when you look at it, especially with video, low light, like all those things together, to me, that's where the edge is. Again, I haven't done a full test either, but that's something where I would still like to see that overall package with a sharper image. that to me would
Yeah.
be great as well, you know.
But then again, I'm going to cut Samsung some slack because this is a brand new device. It's literally not released at the time of this video anyway. And they will improve it with software updates. And Samsung have been great with software, right? The next thing I want to talk about is the performance, because obviously we've got the Snapdragon 8 Elite, right? And that has really upped the performance on the device. We've got a larger vapor chamber as well. It's also made the device more efficient. So as a gamer and as somebody who's done lots of gaming tests with lots of different smartphones, what do you think of the performance of the S25 Ultra?
I mean, it's the same as the other Snapdragon 8 Elites. Now, in terms of benchmarks, you're going to see higher numbers. That is true. I will say when I look at it across the board, the one game I had issues with was Call of Duty Warzone. I could not play that on any other Snapdragon 8 Elite device. On the with any serious like high FPS rating. On the S25 Ultra, I got maybe about 48, but still was running really hot, by the way. It ran hotter than it should have with that vapor cooling and that Tim Schofield, layer of coolness that it has there, called the Tim layer. And then, but it performed much better on the S25 Plus and regular S25. There I was able to get closer to 60 frames per second. Smaller
is
display, different battery size, all that stuff also comes into play as well.
is that also down to optimization? Do they still need to make it, because it's for Galaxy, right? And I'm not making excuses, but I'm just saying, is that something that potentially
Oh no,
is a factor?
the game, to be fair, the game needs to be optimized because that game runs very well. Maybe not as high, but runs very well on 8 Gen 3. So the game is
Okay.
not, it's a heavy CPU load, and the architecture has changed where we have this, now we have the power cores, no more the efficiency cores. So that's probably what's going on, because in comparison to MediaTek, it runs well in MediaTek, it runs well in 8 Gen 3, and then we move to this year, it's like, so
Okay.
the game
I
needs
think
an
it's down
update.
to optimization. I think
Yeah.
we will be seeing some updates, and things will get optimized a little bit more.
Yeah.
And speaking of updates, Samsung has promised 7 generations of Android OS updates, which is currently the lead when it comes to Android OS updates, right up there with Google. Nobody else is offering that many updates. So that is one thing that, I think Samsung has been doing really great with. And also the AI features. Like when I was testing out, like the S24 Ultra as well as the S23 Ultra have a lot of the new AI features that Samsung has bought. So brought to their devices. Like, even though like the S23 Ultra is a 2-year-old phone, it still has things like sketch to image. It still has, call assist and transcript assist and all of these things, right? Which I'm like, you know what? You got to give it to them. Like, these are features that you didn't, when you bought the S23 Ultra, that's not what you bought these features for, right? You bought the S23 Ultra at that time without any promise of AI features, and here they are with these AI features on the S23 Ultra as well. So I got to give them some props there for bringing all of these features to previous devices.
No, I agree. I like that fact that it's coming down the line, giving people a glimpse of at least what they should be expecting as you move up, and also what you can currently use right now.
Yeah.
I like this AI approach, especially on the S25 Ultra, because for me, it's getting closer to what I want. I want a personal assistant. Now, not everybody might want that, but I like the fact that this year, even though they added more things, it didn't feel aggressive. So a lot of people are like, oh, there's the now bar. And look, whether you think they copied Apple or not is one thing, but I do like the functionality. One of the best things, at least for me as a football lover, aka soccer, is the fact
Not
that
real football.
when I set up my device at Unpacked,
Mm.
I logged into my Samsung account, I set everything up. As soon as because I was doing an unboxing, as soon as I turned it back on, I basically, powered on the phone, or I hit the power button, the now bar showed up and showed me that Arsenal had won their game. Now, I'm an Arsenal fan, and the fact that it took in all that information from what I have from my Google saved teams, to me, made the day happy. You know, I mean, like,
Well, this is the
it's
thing. So like,
easy to have that kind of information come up for you whenever you want.
yeah, my complaint with the dynamic island always has been that as an interactive feature with animations and like, like say for example, especially if you're on United, because that's an Apple partner, right? You're on a United flight, you're waiting. It has like a countdown at the top with the dynamic island, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, this is so useful because I can just glance at my phone and I know there's 42 minutes left to boarding, right?
Yeah.
So stuff like that, I'm like, brilliant, really, really good. But it's right at the top. So if I want to interact with it, it's like the utmost element. Whereas what Samsung have done is, I would say they have copied it, but it's much more reachable because it's right at the bottom.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and also the whole UI has changed to reachability to the bottom, searches at the
Yeah.
bottom. Those kind of things it's simple, they make sense. The other aspect to it is also the AI features, right? The assistants. I like the fact that I don't have to call Gemini if I'm hitting the button or Google, or Bixby, I basically hit the button, I just ask the question, right? So that is again a little easier to deal with,
It
you
still
know?
needs to work a little bit better because, like, for instance, if I ask Gemini to switch off the always on display, it's not going to be able to do that. Like right now, that Bixby and Gemini
Mhm.
talking is something that they need to work on. I shouldn't have to think about, do I want Bixby or do I want Gemini? I should just ask and it should figure out what I need.
Yes, and I think that comes down to a very stringent, hard problem where it's, Gemini has not learned anything about the phone, to be fair, right? It's if you think about it, Gemini is trained on everything else out there. Samsung is not sharing the information in the phone or whichever manufacturer is, right? So
Yeah.
to do that search it's something that either they have to either agree to do early
Y-
on or it's
Well,
a post-launch thing.
this is the thing. It's a similar thing with Apple Intelligence when it comes to Siri and ChatGPT, right? For instance, I asked Apple Siri to list me the 5 top halal restaurants in Leicester. I did this demo, and it gave me 3, and one of the times, one of them wasn't even halal, right? But I'm thinking like, it's like, okay, I've asked you a question, you don't have the ability to answer that, then at least ask me, do you want me to go to ChatGPT? It doesn't always do that, right? Sometimes it will. Sometimes it'll be like, oh, I can't answer this, but do you want to go to ChatGPT, right? Fair enough. But it's like, yeah, but you're giving me an extra step. Like, let me just figure it out
Oh,
that you need
yeah.
to do it. And this is where I think the problem is, because again, when I asked Gemini to do something in my settings, because Samsung and Google have been working so closely together, they need to figure out a way just to make it easier, that I don't have to think that, oh, actually, no, this is something that Bixby needs to do, because that gets very confusing, because you've essentially got 2 assistants on one, right? Like, and again, I say the same thing with Siri and Apple. It's like, okay, if you're going to be doing that, then I'll just use ChatGPT. But then it's like, okay, I can't do this on Chat. It's like, no, bring it together. But I think there just needs to be more work on, like, making that an easy experience where you don't have to think about it.
I agree, but I think it's better. I mean, to me, it's better than Apple Intelligence just because number one, the one thing
It's more
they've
complete.
done, one thing they've done is that whenever you're searching, when you're asking for anything away from the device, it's not even going to bother to be like, do I need to ask for permission? It's basically Gemini is doing all the work and then bringing it back in for you.
Mm.
Um, and yes, I agree with you that on-device functionality, that's where you always have to you have to mention Bixby or else it literally doesn't get that information. I think that's where they need to tie it correctly together, and I think they can. It's just a matter of how much money Google is going to pay Samsung to say, okay, look, we need the full instruction sets for this so we can have it done, and
No, but
then
they've been
understand.
working very closely together right now. Like, you look at, like, even like, for example, Circle to Search, that came on Galaxy devices before it came on Google devices,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Okay,
I know.
so they have been working closely together. So it's just like,
No, that's why I said it's this.
this
It's
is,
always boils
well,
down to this.
it probably is, yeah. But I mean, and again, I mentioned this in my comparison of the S25 Ultra versus the iPhone 16 Pro Max. Technically, Apple Intelligence is still in beta. It's not fully complete. So, at this point in time, Galaxy AI with Google's Gemini is a lot more complete, and it's at this point in time, I would say. Now, once Apple Intelligence is fully rolled out, it's not got the beta sign on there. It's like, okay, this is the real deal. Then I think we need to do a comparison and really see who comes out on top.
Nope, it's a service that's offered for both people. So this comparison is now. I disagree absolutely completely. If you don't have this thing ready, because we're going to talk about Deepseek at the end of this podcast. We don't live in that era where you can hold a beta sign and expect that to stick.
No, I agree.
Yeah,
I
you're
agree.
offering it now. You got to take the heat.
Yeah, that's it. And I quote Marquez, which is you shouldn't buy a product with the promise of software updates. You buy it for what it is right now, and I agree with that. Battery life has been very good. I think a lot of it's down to the AT Elite. It's very efficient, so we have had a battery life improvement. However, the battery life is not as good as some of the other competitors we're going to be talking about, such as the OnePlus 13 and the Honor Magic 7 Pro, which both have better battery life. So is that a big deal? Does it still give you the full day usage? Are you bothered about the charging not being as fast as others?
So in terms of battery life, yes, the others are faster. I mean, are longer. I think that's something that we've seen over the years with especially like the Chinese manufacturers, and with their battery life. This is already better than my S24 Ultra from last year, and I could do a full day with the S24 Ultra. That means this is giving me at least more to do. I do a lot of stuff on my device. I think I do more than most people even imagine. So I'm very comfortable with the battery life. The one thing I am not comfortable with is that fast charging. Wireless charging is cool. You can make it faster or not. I really don't care. I rather have faster charging wired. Just because I operate my own functionality is I operate on a desk, in the car, or I'm on a desk again in the office. So I can plug in somewhere.
Well, this is the thing, because one of the complaints I've been seeing online is that unlike competitors who are using silicon carbon batteries, which have a smaller footprint basically, so you can get a bigger battery in the same size space, Samsung isn't doing that. So it's just like, what is going on here? Why are you not giving us what the other competitors are? So
maybe, when we get to the edge, right?
I know.
That'd be
Well,
it.
then what we do, let's not step ahead of ourselves. Let's
No,
talk
no, I
about the
know.
price, because pricing hasn't changed too much. But like Samsung, this is the thing. US pre-order deals, which you can find affiliate link down in the description below. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Mate, they are giving crazy deals. So right now in the US, well, I don't know if they'll still be live by the time this video goes live. They're giving you $900 if you trade it in an S24 Ultra. Like you can't, like if you go out to buy an S24 Ultra right now, that's how much it's going to cost you. So if you've got one that you've used for a year, you're like, you know what, I want to upgrade. Okay, $900, right? So that is the $1,300 device is now $400. Then you get double the storage. So you get 512 gigabytes. Okay, so you're 400. Then depending on the carrier you go for and stuff, you can get at least about $150 to $200, or maybe even up to $350 using the exclusive affiliate link down in the description. It can bring the price down. Like realistically speaking, with all the offers, like with the buds and things like that, it's like a couple of $100.
Yeah.
So
there was a big push on this.
I know, and then the S23 Ultra, you can get $750 for that, right? Now I know people are going to be like, Safi, just like pushing your links. No, but like honestly, these are good deals. Guess what? We don't have them in the UK right now. In the UK, I believe you get like £500 if you trade in your S24 Ultra, which is not worth it. I'd say that's not worth it, right? But it's exclusive to the US. People complain to me. I've been called a traitor to my Britishness, right? They're like, you are not a true Brit because you are not giving us British deals. And it's like, bruv, what do you want me to do, man? I don't control these deals. It's what Samsung gives. Samsung UK don't give good deals. Complain to Samsung. What am I supposed to do? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, the deals are quite impressive. One of my friends, he was here this past weekend, and he's like, "Oh, I'm getting the S25 Ultra." I was like, "Oh, cool, man!" Like, he's like, he got a great deal directly from his carrier, AT&T.
Okay.
Traded in his iPhone 15, 15 Pro Max, and he's paying taxes, basically $100 in taxes. That's it. That's all he's paying for it. He basically
there you go.
He got it for, and remember, a year plus old phone, right? The 15 Pro Max, for the price of a brand new phone.
I honestly don't know how Samsung do this. Like, it's crazy, but this is the thing. My advice to anybody who's thinking of getting a new device, a new Samsung device, is just take advantage of those pre-order deals, because I don't think it's going to be as good as this anytime soon, right? Get
Yeah.
in there for the early pre-order deals. If you decide to change your mind, I'm sure there's some sort of money back guarantee. It's up to you, but like, I don't think you're gonna find those deals another time, because I've had a look myself like a couple of months later, and it's like, oh, okay, the same deals aren't there, and then I get people complaining in the comments saying the deal you said is no longer there, and it's like, yeah, bro, you're 3 months late. You know what I mean? You can't blame me. Now I kind of make a point of saying at the time of this video. So at the time of this video, there are some pretty good pre-order deals. So I would say overall, S25 Ultra, great smartphone overall. Yes, there's a few controversies here and there, but if you're after a good smartphone that's going to last you a while and has some really good AI features, good battery life, great performance, good overall cameras, I just think it's an all-rounder. It's a good all-rounder, right? S25 Ultra is a good one to go for. Now, Samsung Galaxy S25 Edge. It was teased at the Unpacked event, which you were at. We thought this was going to be called the S25 Slim, and as far as we know, Apple is also going to be releasing an iPhone 17 Slim, so it's kind of like Samsung's kind of stepping in and getting theirs out beforehand. But instead of calling it the Slim, they've called it the Edge. All right, which kind of has a bit of a throwback to the was it the S7 Edge?
Galaxy S7 Edge, yeah.
Yeah. So although there is no curves on the edges as far as we've seen. So they teased they had like the models on display, right?
Yeah, they did. They had just one display section. It was the most crowded section you would find. You couldn't touch the phones. The phones were hanging. So it was
a bit of, but you can't touch.
Yes, it was a bit of a madhouse. The phone, the back of the phone resembles like an iPhone 16.
The camera module for sure. Yeah, that looks like it looks very much like the iPhone 16's camera module.
A little bit of the Galaxy S24 as well. Like it's got like a weird mixed look to it, but it's a very thin device, to be fair. Like the side profile really show you how thin the device really looks like. So that's very nice. Samsung hasn't said anything about the device whatsoever, other than it's coming soon. They're going to launch it. But bringing back the battery conversation you mentioned, this might be the time that Samsung is making that switch to.
Well, here's the thing, because a lot of people I've been seeing online are saying, okay, so we've got this slimmer phone, which nobody asked for, but it's going to be apparently up to around 6.4 millimeters thin, right?
Yeah.
Now, the one item that takes the most space in a smartphone is, of course, the battery. So they're like, okay, so are you going to reduce the battery on a large size display screen, from what it seems, right? And that is a question, but maybe if they're going to be using silicon carbon for the S25 Edge, then they'll be able to fit in a bigger capacity battery in a smaller size, right? So maybe they're saving the silicon carbon battery for the S25 Edge. As far as we know from the rumors, it's going to be around 6.4 millimeters thin. We can see the display that Samsung teased, uniform bezels, very small uniform bezels. I would assume it'd have a full HD plus resolution, not a quad HD plus resolution, just because, again, of that smaller size battery, whatever it is. 200 megapixel main lens, as well as a 50 megapixel potentially ultra wide lens as well. We've only got 2 lenses on there, so it doesn't look like we're going to have the zoom camera. So that's something that we're going to be.
I disagree. I think
What do you think?
Samsung might go completely different. This is just me guessing because we don't have any specs. I think they might go the 200 megapixel for the telephoto, and because that camera housing is thick, it's a thick boy, and then they might also go with another 200 for the regular as well. Or I know they have a new sensor which was announced end of last year, which is a new 200 megapixel. So that might be it on this, or they might come up with something else. But I have a feeling that 200 megapixel telephoto, similar to Vivo, might be something they would do here. Because again,
I don't know, because
I think
this is the thing. When you have the when you have a smartphone with just two cameras, right? And we've been through this debate before, because remember before, the iPhones used to have a primary camera and then a
Yeah.
telephoto camera, right? And that was the trend. You'd have the primary and telephoto, but then everybody opted, like, let's be honest, what's more useful in a smartphone if you had to only pick one, an ultra wide or a telephoto?
Ultra wide.
Exactly.
Telephoto is quite useful. You know, who knows?
It's useful, but I mean, if you only could pick one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, the ultra wide is something you're simply not going to be able to get, like, you
Mhm.
know. So I think it's going to be the ultra wide. In terms of other specs, I think it's obviously going to have the 8 Elite, most likely. We don't really know much else right now.
But would they have the 8 Elite for Galaxy, or would it be the rumored one? There's a rumored 8 Elite that has one core off. So basically it's a 7-core instead of an 8-core CPU, which is rumored to be coming into Oppo's super thin foldable.
Okay, then it might be that one. What is that
Yeah.
called? 8 Elite Slim?
I mean, that might be the case. That might be the one that it goes into those devices.
Okay, so that's interesting. I mean, we don't know too much else. What's the rumored release date? Is it around? I'm hearing April right now on the leaks and rumors.
I mean, that makes the most amount of sense, because
Yeah.
it's not going to coincide with the fold in the
Yeah.
July, August, and we're getting the trifold as well, you know, this year. So you can't put the slim, the trifold, then the regular fold, and the flip all at once.
I
That's
think
too
that
much.
April makes sense because it's January, so give it a bit of time, sell as many S25 series devices as you can, then release the Edge, and then you've got a bit of time before the Fold and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Again, we've seen what Samsung has shown, and we've also got some beautiful renders from our friend Technizo Concept, which you can see. So that's what we know about the S25 Edge so far. Let's see how it compares to the iPhone 17 Slim or iPhone 17 Air, whenever that comes out.
Yeah.
Right. Let's talk about the OnePlus 13. So, big competitor to the S25 Ultra. I think it's a great all-rounder, to be fair. It's got a beautiful display, 6.82 inches. Here's an interesting one, E. It's got IP68 and IP69 rating for water and dust resistance, right?
Mhm.
I was actually a little bit confused about this, because whenever I saw, like, I was like, why didn't they just call it IP69, right? Because it's the high number. No, but they're two separate things. So IP68 covers submersion. So that's how long you can submerge the device into water. IP69, so the 9 in IP69 covers high pressure, right? So can it endure high pressure water jets? So for instance, if you're going to, like, put it under a tap, for example, and it's like very high pressure, two very different things, which is why whenever you see that, you won't just see, like, for example, with the OnePlus 13, it'll say IP68/IP69. And so will things like the Honor Magic 7 Pro. That's something that the S25 Ultra doesn't have. It has a Snapdragon 8 Elite with up to 16 gigabytes of RAM, so more RAM. One area that it definitely beats the S25 Ultra in, hands down, is when it comes to battery life. We've got a 6,000 milliamp hour silicon carbon cell, and it's dual cell as well, so they're 3,000 milliamps, so it charges much faster as well. Battery life is better, hands down, compared to the S25 Ultra, and you've got 100 watts of Super VOOC charging as well as 50 watts of Air VOOC charging. So again, both of those are faster compared to the S25 Ultra.
Yeah.
And it also comes in at a low price, so it starts at around £900 or $900, and you know, that's around $400 less than what the S25 Ultra starts at. So that's a significant reduction in price in comparison. What are your thoughts on the OnePlus 13?
I got mixed thoughts. Everything sounds great on paper, and OnePlus fans don't hate me. I think my biggest thing was just more of the camera. I think OnePlus has the right idea. I could care less about IP68 and IP69. The reason I say that is I think most consumers will care less about that, and they will be confused. Staff took some time to explain that. That's the problem, right? You know, unless they coined the phrase and just said, you know, it's the new IP durable, which means it just covers everything. But again, most consumers are not going to be intentionally, unless, of course, some mistake you put it inside the washing machine, then you need help. more than anything else, not the phone. I think for me, it boils down to, battery life and camera, which the battery life stuff, they've done well. They've done an excellent job there. The camera is where, again, it still is, it's a good camera, but to me, the S24 Ultra holds up against it very well. So it doesn't bring anything new to the table. One of the things that, Vivo has done this year, or even with we'll see like Oppo, Honor, is that they bring something new, and then excuse me, which means the new phones this year have to beat that or match.
Okay.
You can't be matching against, in my mind, you can't be matching against last year's phone. That doesn't work at all.
Well, technically, it kind of came out in November, so
Actually,
could you call it a last year phone?
yeah, I guess so. But I think it's a solid device. I think it's OnePlus is on the track to kind of bring itself to that forefront. The one thing I would say that is left in OnePlus's arsenal is the hype. I say this in all due respect, because Vivo launched without anything. This was not a US launch, but there was hype. There was hype about the camera. There was hype. There was some kind of hype. OnePlus launch, we all made videos. Where's the hype?
This is the thing. Like, with all of the coverage that I've done with the OnePlus, it's been fine. But interestingly enough, right, the OnePlus 13R has been getting more attention from what I've seen compared to the OnePlus 13. Now, obviously, this is 100% down to my video that I shot in Dubai with the OnePlus 13R.
Of
No,
course.
but genuinely speaking, like when I've been this is talking from what I'm posting. I'm posting stuff with the OnePlus 13R. There seems to be a lot more attention and hype around that compared to the OnePlus 13, and that's interesting because I guess the OnePlus 13R it's still a very good package for a quite a much lower price, especially in the US. It's like around $600 in the US, which is for a device like that is very good, I would say.
Yeah. I mean, no, I agree. I mean, if it's,
he's like, is it really? Because I need to get one.
I thought it was $5, but I could be wrong.
Is it
now? I thought it was close to $5. No, it's $600. You're right. Sorry.
Yeah,
I think there was a launch.
He's making me doubt myself. In the UK, I think it's still a little bit like, because it's £680 in the UK, right? So then it's just like, okay, a couple of £100 more, you can get the OnePlus 13. But in the US, for $600, I mean, that is a very good deal, I would say, for a smartphone that I would say ticks most of the boxes. Battery life, again, amazing. A huge 6,000 milliamp hour battery. Yes, it's got the 8 Gen 3, but for $600, can't go wrong.
I mean, yeah, that's not a bad deal. Plus, you can trade in, you get up to $189 off. And honestly, it's not a bad deal, especially you have things like the LG Wing for $129 off, the LG Stylus, LG V50 ThinQ, $148 back.
Hey, if you've got the LG Wing, you keep that, man. You keep that bad boy.
Yes.
That's some memorabilia there.
I agree with that one. But, LG Q Stylus Plus, $143 back off. That is a great deal. So if you have old LG phones other than the Wing, trade it in. Get this.
But okay, so here's a question. Did the OnePlus 13 and the 13R come with chargers out of the box in the US?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the thing. In the UK, no longer.
Whoa, really?
Yeah. So you got a slimmer box, and that was quite controversial. People were very annoyed.
I mean,
about
but it's
that.
the UK. You're supposed to have chargers in the box.
No, we're not part of the EU anymore. So
after
Brexit, it's like it's all right now. We don't have to do anything, so it's all good. So yeah.
Oh man, I forgot
so
about
in
that.
the US, you will get your charger. In the UK, you won't. So I don't know. I think the OnePlus 13R in the US is a very good deal. I think the OnePlus 13 is good. I would agree that I think the cameras are good overall, right? Okay, very good quality cameras, but I think you're right. They're not going to really meet the expectations of some of the other flagships that are out there, like the Vivo X200 Pro and the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra. But if that's, I mean, again, it's not to say the cameras are bad, but if that's not your priority, and your priority is performance, battery life for sure, then, and I also like that texture, the blue sort of grippy texture that they've got at the back of the device. I don't know what
I'm
they're
not a
calling it.
big fan of it. I
No?
feel like it makes the phone bigger. I like just the regular. I wish they made sandstone again. To me personally, I would take
Oh yeah,
sandstone over. Yeah,
Sandstone. Good
yeah.
times.
But
That's
no,
a
it's
proper
not bad.
throwback.
I preferred like just the regular look of the device or sandstone again, guys. Make a sandstone phone.
You make
Just
a
saying.
special edition for
For the
Singala.
the colonel's itchy for some sandstone.
Oh, mate. All right. The Honor Magic 7 Pro. Again, a great all-rounder. We've both used it for a while. I've done a video on it after using it for about a month. It's a very good device. Like, it carries on from the symmetrical design that we've got on the Honor Magic 6 Pro. It's Honor kind of go into detail that it's a Cosmos-inspired design and stuff. And I was like, it's a nice design. It's very symmetrical. I like it. IP68 and IP69. So it can withstand water and dust resistance. So it can be submerged in water, but it can also take high temperature and, high water pressure as well. Now, here's the interesting thing about the display, right? It's full HD plus, but it's got up to a 5000 nits HDR peak brightness, 8T LTPO technology. But one of the things that I think Honor really excels in, which I don't think is talked about enough, is when it comes to eye comfort. So they've got the highest PWM dimming, right? So it's 4,320 hertz. Now, this is especially useful if you're somebody who uses a smartphone in bed, for example, right? It's just it's so much easier on the eye. You've got circular polarization. They've got all of these things that they've really done for reducing eye fatigue, which I think, a lot of people don't really think about. The other thing that's unique on the Honor Magic 7 Pro, Bonk, is that it's the industry's first dual 3D biometric security experience, which means it's got 3D facial unlock, right? Because it's got a time of flight sensor.
Yeah.
And it's got 3D ultrasonic fingerprint scanner as well, right? Now, the one thing that really annoys me whenever I do a S25 Ultra video, especially if I'm comparing it to the iPhone, you always get some smart asses in the comments saying, oh, my S25 Ultra does have Face ID. Ha ha ha. I don't know what you're talking about, right? And it's like, no, you have no idea what you're talking about because it's just using the front-facing camera. It's funny because if you actually go into enable it, Samsung literally tell you themselves this is not going to be as secure, right? Because it's only using the front-facing camera. I'm not saying it's going to be like, you just point it at anybody, it's going to unlock. It's just not as secure, right? Whereas using a time of flight sensor is actually using depth information for your face and it's much more secure, right? The Honor Magic 7 Pro is the only device in the world that has both.
Yeah.
So you can use facial unlock when you want, and you can use a fingerprint scanner. Because usually I prefer a fingerprint scanner. Like, it's just so much easier, and especially when I'm in bed, my face is halfway sunken into the pillow. I literally locked myself out of my banking app on my iPhone 16 Pro Max once, right? Because of that reason. Because I was trying to unlock it. Half asleep, I was like, why is this not unlocking? And I was like, oh man, that's what frustrates me, right? But obviously the Honor Magic 7 Pro ticks both of the boxes. Now, before I kind of talk about the cameras, what has been your experience with the Honor Magic 7 Pro so far?
I mean, it's a good device. I think overall in terms of specs, hardware, it's good. I'm not the biggest fan of the device feel or shape. I think it feels bulkier than it should. But I do like the fact that, yes, I agree, the dual security unlocks there are great. The 5000 nits, it's a bit of a gimmick because, again, like you said, you get to a certain curve, it really does not matter.
Yeah.
It just kind of flats out. But the PWM dimming, that is fantastic. I am same way too. I basically say I'm going to bed and then, I'm still online. So
Yep.
it's definitely useful. I like the fact that they've touched on those points on the device. I think as a device as a whole, it is absolutely solid because everything's stacked all the way through, from charging to specific features on the device itself. And then we get to the camera, which I'll let you start off the camera first, and we can
Okay,
continue.
so you mentioned a few of the things there. The battery, it's got a silicon carbon battery, right? So that's great. Like, that is using the latest technology there. And it's also 100 watts of wired supercharging and 80 watts of wireless charging, right? So the 100 watts is there. It's got a big silicon carbon battery, which means it does last longer than the S25 Ultra. Now, I would say the key thing is with the cameras, very good cameras overall. I would say 50 megapixel primary camera, 50 megapixel ultra wide camera, 200 megapixel telephoto camera, and it's also got a 50 megapixel front camera. Right now, what I really like about the Honor Magic 7 Pro is like one AI feature that I think is really good is when it's got AI motion sensing capture. Right, so you can just activate this mode, do whatever, and it's going to capture that specific moment, that highlight moment of, say, for example, if you're jumping or if there's some sports happening or anything like that. That is been there for a while, but it does work really well, and I do like it. The hardcore portraits are really nice, right? Performance, obviously, Snapdragon 8 Elite. I would say that the only thing, like, when it comes to software, like the AI features, they're good. You've got AI translation, you've got AI interpreter, you've got AI transcript assist, you've got a lot of these things. Obviously, Google Gemini is built in. But I think where Samsung kind of stands out amongst the crowd is their AI features are a little bit more relatable. They're a bit more usable. Like, for example, you've got things like AI sketch to image, right? Where you can just doodle on something and boom, it's going to make it into a masterpiece. The Magic Eraser on the S25 Ultra, I would say is the best. Because you can just, if you want to remove something from it, it actually uses AI to fill that in properly. It just doesn't like do like a
blur.
Yeah. And I think this is where everybody's trying to push AI, but I think one area where, Galaxy AI is leading is because they are providing more generative AI experiences on their devices compared to others. And I think that's where most other devices are lacking right now when it comes to generative AI.
Yeah, I agree. I think just starting from the AI spot and then heading back to the camera is that one of the things that I appreciate with the Galaxy, because I use the AI features on the Honor, and it's nice, but it's not relatable. Is the key part. One of the things that Samsung has is like that I like is even though I know I'm not going to use it that much, but I understand it well, is the conversations where it does the AI translate when you have phone calls. But now it also does transcripts. So you can record a conversation. So even if it's just like a business meeting, you can have that recorded as a transcript, and you see the text, and it also will jump. If you click on the text from the person, it will actually play the audio out as well. So there's direct corroboration for whatever conversations you're having. It's not something you're going to use all the time, but it's something you go, this is valuable that I may use. And then the other features, and that's something that I think that a lot of brands haven't gotten to yet. And I think Honor has the right idea, especially the one with the photo, trying to capture the right photo. I think just the implementation of getting those things right for the viewer, I think will play a lot. And I think when implementing like AI features to camera, I would prefer if somebody does it this way, is that when I take a photo or shot, it does the AI feature anyway, minus like the sketch stuff. But if anything that is done to improve the image or get me the right image, do that and then offer me when I view, like, oh, here are the other options that you can pick from, because you didn't catch it correctly, or you were doing this, or it was an action shot, and even though you didn't know, we recorded it for you anyway. Then you can select it. I think that would be a better. But I like the fact that they are thinking, at least Honor is thinking within those lines and trying to push that direction. The camera is solid. The camera does a really good job. I can't complain about the camera. But the camera doesn't wow me as much. I would say it's a really good camera. Video still needs some improvement, but overall it's a solid camera. I think honestly, yes, they are in the right track. It's just a matter of fine-tuning some of that AI, for something more relatable, and then getting those wow moments in camera. I think right now in camera, overall, everyone's looking for the wow. It's like, oh yes, this does. Whether it's Samsung, whether it's Honor, whether it's Apple, doesn't matter who it is. You've got to wow us, or else it's like, it's a good
I think
camera.
the Vivo recently did that. It wowed a lot of people. The Vivo X200 Pro, and I think that's something that people need to kind of replicate. Whatever they're doing, it's like everything really just pops, and it's like, okay, that looks like, whoever I show is like, wow, okay, that looks nice. So I think that's what people, that's what a lot of these brands need to replicate.
Yeah,
should we say?
I agree.
But what I like seeing is I like seeing competition in the market right now. So if you are after a new Android smartphone, you've got a lot of options. It's only Feb, and it's just 2 months into the year, and you've already got 3 solid options. I would say S25 Ultra, OnePlus 13, and the Honor Magic 7 Pro. So take your pick. Let us know in the comments which one of those you'd pick. We're not doing a giveaway, just FYI. The comments were like, I want this one. But anyway, final topic. Deepseek. I mean, that really shook things up, didn't it? It wiped off what, $600 billion of Nvidia after when it was announced initially, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know there's been lots of developments since then, but man, how crazy is that? Just
It is. It's crazy. I think it's one of those things where it was bound to happen. But also again for Nvidia, like on the market side of things, investors are happy because some of them are happy because Nvidia felt like it was too highly valuated, so now you can buy cheaper.
okay.
Here's the thing: DeepSeek was built off Nvidia's GPUs. There's a lot of like geopolitical conversations about this AI tool, and this also means that there's new competition in the market. So right now, when that happened, DeepSeek launched an AI module that basically was faster than GPT and seemed like it gave more correct answers than GPT, at least the public variant of GPT. Some people have stated that the paid variant also it's maybe comparable or a little higher, but right now DeepSeek is considered, number one. GPT is number two. But there's some caveats to these. Now, they say they spent $6 million to do this. Slow down. There's also word that they had like over 10,000 NVIDIA GPUs, which is more than 6 million. Trust me, the GPUs they use. So those numbers are not actually correct, and we don't have those hard numbers. On the geopolitical side, there is the fact that these GPUs they got them from Singapore, supposedly. So again, it's like you also sell these GPUs to China. There's that whole aspect, but is it as good? And from all indications, it looks like it's good. It's in that class to compete. But then there are concerns about DeepSeek. So number one, which a lot of people laugh at, is DeepSeek was trained off GPT. It wasn't built from scratch. It's not like So a lot of people laugh and say, hey, GPT took all our data for free and built GPT, and then DeepSeek took their data and built on that. And I personally think this is an impressive thing, but also a slightly dangerous thing for AI. It means that your AI can only move in the trajectory from where it was built from. If it's either fresh or just copying somebody else's homework, right?
Yeah.
That's how I look at it. But then there's also like concerns. There are many concerns on it. One is the data retention. There's an article from Forbes, which we'll link also in the video here, that kind of states some of these. Like they keep your data as long as they want. Even if you leave the app, your data will not be deleted. It's theirs. Just take it. It's gone.
Can I just mention one point on that? I think what we've realized in recent times is people really don't care about their data because when the whole TikTok thing happened, right? People were jumping to this other platform, which was also Red Note, and it's like, but they're like, this is how much we do not care about our data, right? People were making videos just kind of like emphasizing to the US government, we don't care about our data, let them take it, we just want to have a fun app, right? And it's just like, okay. That's one thing we've realized recently. A lot of people don't care about their data. It seems so anyway.
The other one is also the fact that DeepSeek basically allows keystroke tracking, which to me is very concerning. Which means that it tracks your keystrokes. Because one of the things that people talk about is that when you type in something on DeepSeek, you get the answer pretty fast, especially if you type it and maybe you walk away, you're thinking about the answer. As soon as you typed it out, it's registered your keystrokes. It knows what you typed. It's already searching for it. That's one of its legs up. But it also means that if it's registering your keystroke, what stops it from registering your bank passwords? Things like anything that's more personal to you that you want to keep. That's where the danger is in there. I'm not saying that anybody cares about your bank account or your if you don't care about privacy, that's fine. But That's another concern. The other
Yeah.
thing too is about censorship as well. You can ask Deepseek about things that happen in China, maybe the whole Tiananmen Square incident. It will not give you an answer. It just won't. It would tell you, well, how about we talk about something else? So, but again, the censorship.
Babe, let's change your subject.
Yeah, you know, you can
It's like
also argue
when
that.
you when you want to talk when the missus wants to talk about something, and it's like, oh yeah, let's talk about something else. I really don't want to discuss this right now.
Yeah. There's that. And then
Yeah.
there's some
Okay.
stuff, there's some conversation about enterprise that it actually might not be as cheap for enterprises or at all. But that's where DeepSeek is. And, for me, in terms of like it's not even the privacy concerns as much as the keystrokes. I do not like anything registering any of my keystrokes whatsoever. So I'm out. I'm just out.
What are you searching for? That's the question.
Strictly. No, I'm just because
I'm
if he
kidding.
registers keystrokes,
Yeah.
is the app still running while I'm checking my banking app? I don't know at this point. So that's my take. But in terms of an engine, it seems like it's very useful. Microsoft is also just offered it to their business customers as well. So
Yeah.
they offer it as an option to them. And I believe Intel's CEO, former CEO, Pat, his new company is using DeepSeek also. So
Okay.
there's that. There's a new entry into the game. But what that means is that honestly, in the long run, it gets better. But I just want to put this out there for everyone. Let's not be fooled. This is a geopolitical battle.
Oh.
That's what it is. Everyone, every country on this planet is that has the capability is trying to work on the first person to get to true artificial intelligence or anything close to that, because that changes the balance of everything. Whether it's China, whether it's US, whether it's Japan, Germany, doesn't matter the country, or the UK, everyone's trying to get there. And this I'm not trying to be political here, but this is just a way for DeepSeek to expand its knowledge. Same way ChatGPT also has expanded across the board, right? Through businesses and companies. So just know that this is what that is. You're going to be part of this. Your data is going to be used. You're going to be part of training all these intelligences to do different things. I just hope that we get to a point where if these intelligences are smart and become sentient, they understand that we're children. Just understand that we're children. because we don't know
Oh, mate.
we don't know what we're playing with. That's just it. Let's not go to the Terminator route. Let's go to the you poor humans, I'll take care of you, the Wall-E route instead.
Yeah. And then we just become just
Chubby.
obese and do nothing. I don't know, man. It's an interesting time, and I mean, for me, I do like seeing the competition there. I think it does. Competition drives innovation, so we're going to be seeing, but we just don't want it to be at the point where it's sentient and it's gonna get Skynet. That's what we want. That's what we don't want. But it's just crazy. Like, imagine you were somebody who, you know what, Nvidia's doing all right. Let me buy a bit of that stock. And then the next day, man, that's just, it's crazy, man. Stock markets, all of this stuff. When I see that, it's just like,
it's gambling. It's straight up
yeah,
up gambling. Yeah. You're just
pretty
betting
much.
that it will rise forever. I think that's always the fallacy of the stock market. So you always play at your own risk, which is
this is where we can this is the point where we sell our course about how to actually invest. No, don't worry, we're not going to be doing that.
it's a 24-part series, covers 2 years. So
yeah, 2 years, a 24-part series, and it's only $999. Discounted for a limited time to $950. Mate, it's the amount of courses is so crazy. I'm gonna go off on a bit of a rant, but you know how you see these guys, it's like, oh, basically they're selling you a course to show you how to double your money, and I'm like, if you really could double your money, why wouldn't you just keep doubling your money yourself instead of doing these courses, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh hey, and it's just so funny because the way these people make their money is through selling courses. That's the only way they make money. It's just like, oh, come on, man, what is going on? It's like the amount of times I see these, like, these investment influencers just pop up and they're like, oh yeah, and I was like, oh man, I just cringe.
I mean,
Um,
you should, if you're going to do that, if you want to be altruistic, right, then definitely you should have, whether it's a YouTube channel or TikTok, you should never charge. You should always tell people it's free advice and do whatever you want to do with it. Like, be my guest. But that's about it.
mm,
That's the most you can do.
yeah.
And not the whole, you know, courses for like, yeah, yes, we have real estate courses, general. We have real estate courses for Section 8 housing, courses to buy houses from the state, all these just different sections and you find people who are masters at the subsections, not just the general courses. Because you might be
Mm.
thinking like, and like, to be fair, like if you don't know anything about something, like a course might be helpful for you to understand, right?
Oh yeah.
But then you're like, wait a minute. Oh, there's this, is that, and then you'd start seeing like just like levels of courses, and I'm like, this is like the infinity money printing wheel that somebody is like,
You know what? I keep saying this to people. If you don't have ethics or morals or religion, right, it's so easy to make money, man. Because it's just people are just waiting there to be like scammed. Like honestly, the amount of scams that we see right now,
mhm.
the amount of pyramid schemes, the amount of Ponzi schemes out there and stuff, and it's just like, oh man, honestly, if you didn't have any of those ethics, morals, religion, it'd be so easy to make money because that's what a lot of these people are doing. They sell you a lifestyle that they have online. They're like, okay, this is what you can also achieve. If you want to know how to do it, sign up to my course. You know what I mean? And it's like people are actually signing up to this stuff. But anyway,
Yeah.
we're completely gone off topic. This is another
Sorry.
topic.
I mean,
But hey, that's what happens.
just to quickly wrap that up, I think one of the things that always is annoying is that, to be fair, there's a lot of information out there that a lot of people don't know. Whether it's
Mm,
like, take something like taxes. Like taxes is the one where I was tempted to take a course because there's so many things that, you know, there's one guy I follow. He has a course, but he basically, his way is very different. He goes, because it's taxes, he goes, I'll tell you what it is. I'll give you an explanation, but you need like a detailed explanation for this. So come join the course. I've never signed up anything, but I'm like, okay, I understand where this is going because for you to understand these taxes very well, you really have to
mm,
sit down and
yeah.
go, or you go
No,
search
but
for yourself. One of the two.
in the same way, like when some people have creator courses, right? It's like, okay, they're gonna show you how to make videos, right? Okay, now that's something that you can pick up for free, right? And I think there was a key thing, like for example, Ali Abdal, he has a YouTube creator course, right? But what he's done is he's made it in a concise and manageable format, which you can
Yeah.
follow, right? Okay, fair enough. That's fine. That's you want to learn a particular skill. I'm talking more about these blatant scam courses, which they're just like, hey, let me show you how to double your money. Which, if I actually knew how to double people's money, I would just keep doubling my, the compounding
Yeah.
effect, right?
I
So
would
it's
just
like I'll
double
just keep,
myself and my
yeah,
family. I'm done.
yeah, and I'd keep doubling and doubling and doubling, and then before you know it, you're a multi-billionaire, right? Okay, then you can be then you can do philanthropy and teach people how to do it for free because you don't need any money. If somebody is telling you to double, they're gonna show you how to double their money, but then they're charging you a course fee for that. Red flag. They're basically not doing that. And
Yeah,
also, if they're promising you, it comes down to if a deal sounds too good to be true, then it probably is.
that is very true.
We'll end on that. All right, guys. Thanks for watching and listening. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you did, then please do subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure you rate us on all of your favorite podcasting platforms. We'll be back with another episode next month. This is Saf on SuperSaf Speaks with my co-host,
Thunder E from Border Work.
and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Cool.
Look
All
at us
right.
going on a rant.